Today's sponsor is Coastal Crypto. Coastal Crypto can be found at coastalcryptomining.com via the affiliate link down in the description below. They don't want to take up a lot of your time, and neither do I, because I want to get into the video. They are here to help miners find parts. If you're looking for ASICs or even GPUs or any other parts, be sure to check them out. Use promo code SOAT at checkout for 5% off any purchase on the website. Heck yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on. I was just saying, I was like, it's pretty crazy to have a tech YouTuber come on to a cryptocurrency show. But this is a big one too, though, I think, because it does impact your industry quite a lot. And I really want your perspective here. So
huge impact, man. I mean, you're talking GPU prices that were, let's be honest, like this is the thing, right? A lot of GPUs were bought up for crypto mining in 2021, 2020, the tail end of 2020. It was to the likes that has never been seen in this industry before, right? So I was sort of tracking that on the gamer side. Being a PC gamer, I kind of track that for my viewers and look at the price, right? Price performance. At the end of the day, you want to put together a gaming PC, the GPU is the most important component. So you always want to get that at the cheapest price. And so I told my audience just wait until either two things happen. Crypto collapses or Ethereum moves over to proof of stake. And it looks like the latter is what's coming to fruition now.
Well,
right?
Both are happening at the same time.
Yeah. You're having both happening. And so I think with this merge, I mean, I did watch a little bit before I joined. I got back because I had to go to Tokyo for just a meeting in there. And I got back and I was just watching some of the previous. You got a lot of people who are very bullish on crypto on this show. Mm-hmm. They seem to be very bullish. I'm taking the opposite stance, being I'd be one of the bears that would be coming on this show. And there's this sort of like, there's no real big affiliation for me with crypto. I still think it's got a long way to go before, I mean, just look at Ethereum, for example. Do you use Ethereum in your everyday life? Is it something that you use in your everyday life besides mining and selling it?
Someone like me does, right? I participate on the Ethereum blockchain a lot, including adding liquidity and programming on the blockchain and everything. I mean, this is what I do for a living. So it's a little bit different. I think the question, though, directly to a miner is a valid point. Like I was having the talk with Fox here just a second ago, who, we said like the problem is that we're getting into a position for GPU miners where they're going to have to actually participate within these blockchains to even liquidate. Whereas previously with Ethereum, a majority of them are just mining directly to Coinbase or crypto.com and cashing out. And now you're in a position where you actually have to participate within the ecosystem.
Absolutely. So, I mean, part of that, so what would say, for instance, what would you be doing, not on the mining side, but say, for instance, when you talk about programming and things that you do on Ethereum, I'm really curious to what you do in terms of transactions, because I look at the cost of a transaction. Isn't it still like $5 per average transaction, $7 fee per transaction?
It is not. It is much lower now, within pennies, right? So that all, has to do with the amount of stuff that was going on the network. A lot of what was happening is essentially new money coming in and a whole bunch of transaction congestion, along with manipulation through something called MEV that was causing really, really high fees. And then there are other networks that have resolved this already too, right? So it depends on like where you're doing, participating. For example, there's a blockchain that now allows you to essentially be able to write dApps without having to, as a developer, invest in the smart contracts and waste a whole bunch of money, which is a problem that a lot of developers had on Ethereum, right? So,
Well, my biggest problem now is with Ethereum. It looks like it's becoming more and more centralized by the day.
Well, it definitely is. We've had this talk. I don't know how much you've watched me talk about it, right? But we are having Ethereum move to proof of stake. And with that comes essentially the threat of censorship across the board, right? You got 40% of the nodes running on AWS, with 20% running on a German cloud service that is kicking them off, which will probably go to AWS. At that point, you have over 60% of the network on there, right? And we know historically that the US government has been able to go to Amazon and ask them to stop services. And what does Amazon do? They stop services. So, basically Ethereum is putting themselves under the control of the US government at this point.
The people, the exact same organization that controls the fiat dollar. So
Right.
I guess in some of this translation, the real meaning of crypto is getting lost. The exact thing it stood for. It's kind of like the Anakin Skywalker. You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel with crypto. The more I watch it, the more I look into it. You know, you got Obi-Wan standing there. You know, you became the exact thing you swore to defeat.
Yeah, you have. I keep saying we have this crossroad coming up in crypto where we're either going to take the path to CBDC in a completely controlled totalitarian state, or we're going to go ahead and say no and stick to the fundamentals. But the problem is frankly, people don't understand it enough at this point, where we're kind of hitting the crossroad before people even understand what the fight is, right?
But people are starting to wake up, man. They're starting to wake up because they're going to the grocery store, they're going to these places, and they're like, whoa, like, why are these things more expensive? Like, they're not just more expensive, they're shockingly more expensive, to the point where you take it, you stand back and you're like, whoa, that's going to impact me if it keeps going up, and even if it stays at this price, this elevated price. So that's what a lot of people, the individuals, are worried about that. And so it's a big concern right now, because the people responsible for it, they're blaming, you know, apparently Vladimir Putin's responsible for the whole world. Yeah. No, but people know it's the Federal Reserve and governments. That's what people really start to learn now. These are the people who are causing all these problems. You know, look at 2020, 2021. Look how many small businesses and medium businesses just got choked out. That was before Putin even said anything about Ukraine.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head there, which is also why when cryptocurrency projects and these pools for Ethereum and stuff started participating in sanctions, I was like, no, I'm not going to support these pools anymore. I'm not going to support these crypto projects that are doing this, because it's against the exact fundamentals of the reason cryptocurrency was created in the first place. So what are we doing now? We're just participating in U.S. sanctions because why? Because you're scared of them. So you're participating in it for the exact same reason you participate within a fiat system too. It didn't solve the problem.
And this is why, like, I've always, like, me and Blind Run. I love that name, man. I love how you call yourself Blind Run. It's awesome, man. So we've been like kind of like shadow friends, I'd call the name. Like, I've always liked your content, man. Even though you've stood, like, you're pro crypto, you're pro GPU mining, I'm kind of anti GPU mining, and you know, like, I just think it's good that if gamers and miners could get along, because you're really not the enemy in any of this. Like, I want the PC gaming community to understand, like, a lot of these big tech tubers, they constantly blame the miners over and over, and it's like, no, the miners are just simply doing what would be called the invisible hand in the free market. They're just filling the gap. That's all they're doing. You can't hate a man for wanting to eat, right? So at the same time, you're plugging a gap. And so that's why I said the real problem here has always been the Fed and the governments. And that's what people are starting to learn. They're starting to learn this day by day. And it's a really good thing.
We're starting to see with Jay's 2 cents video about the market manipulation that NVIDIA was performing. And, you know, the GPU miners are sitting here, most of us home miners, like, we were not participating in this complete, like, ghost NVIDIA GPU that was being sold to HUD 8 behind everybody's backs for, you know, in bulk. Like, it's not like a majority of miners had that. The problem is we end up, I do feel like no matter what, we always end up with the same problem, right? Where, like, it's kind of like the rich get richer kind of trope, unfortunately. But unfortunately, the gamers always targeted the home miners, which I think was misplaced, if that makes sense, right? So,
but it's not only that. If you look within what's happening, right, you've got these inflation numbers coming out. They're much higher than expected, but also within that, like, if you look at the normalization of inflation, right, it's basically based per person. But if you look like, oh, okay, in the same period, the average income's gone up 5%, but that's heavily skewed towards higher incomes going up more in that same period.
Right.
So not only are the middle class and lower class getting wrecked by inflation, they're getting wrecked by the actual, let's say, the bias in the numbers that they're presenting, right? So your average wages aren't actually going up as high as those percentage figures even say. So you've had this lockdown on small and medium businesses. The average person's doing it tough. Now they're doing it even tougher in 2022 because of all these things. And so it's time, like, guess where all that wealth got transferred to as well? Amazon, big supermarket chains, Walmarts, you name it. They're the beneficiaries of the whole pandemic. And then guess what? In turn, they lobby for your governments to get those lower tax rates to keep doing business as they're doing, and the small guy gets screwed over. So like I kind of seen that. I mean, it's weird because I talk about PC gaming as a tech channel, but like a lot of my viewers want me to start talking more about this stuff because they find it interesting. They find it fascinating.
Well, I think not enough people are talking about it anymore. And we're getting to the point to where like, there's so much at risk that you might not even be able to PC game at a certain point. Like if this gets so out of control, you know, what goes away first? A lot of your entertainment goes away first, right? You stop watching movies, you stop, you know, playing video games. These are things that you have to give up because at the end of the day, you know, if you're lower class or middle class that is getting turned into lower class, you just end up in a position where you don't have time for that stuff anyways. So your interest shifts into these topics, right? Because how are you going to combat it if nobody's talking about it, if nobody's bringing it up into the forefront? So I think your audience is probably indicative of where the culture is shifting in general.
But it's not just that. It's the essence of the industry that you're in is going to shit.
Right.
Like, you know, you saw in 2021, it's like, what's going on with gaming PCs? It's all over the place. They want you to buy a motherboard with a GPU. You got to buy 10, like even for like behind the scenes, I spoke with retailers. They had to buy 10 motherboards for every GPU. That's how bad the industry was getting. So, yeah, it was funny, right? So
yeah.
You got all these factors at play now. I love it how audiences are starting to critically think, but that's only because they're starting to wake up. And that's a good thing, right? They're starting to realize what's going on. That's why I want like tech tubers and sort of miners to get along and talk. I mean, I've always liked you because you're just such a humble dude, man. You just say it how it is. You don't really blow up at anyone. I've always just watched you and been like, yeah, son of a tech is a cool dude. I want to meet you one day, actually have a few beers and talk about.
That'd be nice, but I don't know if I'm going to come to your commie Australia though.
Yeah. I mean, you look at 2020, right? I think it was 45% of GDP was government, right? Now, I raise this to the people who are like pro-government, right? There's a lot of people out there like, the government's doing great. 45% of GDP. Did they contribute to 45% of your life in 2020, right? Did they provide you with all the food, electricity, and everything you need? No, you still had to pay for those things.
Yeah.
So people starting to learn, like, wow, what is government doing for that 45% of GDP? I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but still hugely elevated. If you go to a country like Singapore, you got much less government involved in the economy. So I think a lot of people like here, a lot of people are sort of like watching and going, well, just buy BTC. It solves everything. And it's like, no, the government's still there. The crony, corrupt governments are still there. And if it gets too much of a problem, right, governments will just shut down crypto. That's where I stand.
Well,
that's.
I'll give you the positive side to it, right? I've been super negative this whole week, I think, on all my shows. Kind of like it's pointless. Like there's nothing we can do. We're effed. Like how are we going to solve all this, right? But I will give the light at the end of the tunnel. We have seen stable coins used in Argentina here recently to essentially save the middle class and the lower class, while the upper class was basically able to swap into US dollar because they were able to participate in higher end financial institutions while the middle class and lower class couldn't. So they were able to utilize cryptocurrency to do that and buy US currency stablecoin and bypass that, right? So there are instances where it is working, right? And I think that there is positivity there. The fact is like, how do we push for more of that adoption, right?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, you're coming from, you actually understand the whole crypto space extremely well, man. I'm actually really impressed with your knowledge on it. You've really been getting deep into it. I just think like once people realize what the real problem is, they're going to have to realize that, okay, sooner or later, like people are like, things will get better. Yeah, things will get better because they have to get better, right? If the rich want to keep living rich lifestyles, they need the lower and middle class to do that. It's just that simple. So they've basically at the moment, I kind of consider it one big experiment to see how much the lower and middle class can get pushed. But yeah, we're going into economics when we should get back to crypto. Yeah. It's like,
well, right now we're about 26 minutes away from the merge by the closest estimate. We got the counter up here on the live stream, of course. I do have 30 minutes showing on the portal.wtf. So we're getting pretty close to this actually going down. But if we look at the hash rate, it stayed pretty steady at 750 terahash a second on Ethereum. So, from the beginning of my stream in until now, we have not seen a huge impact on the hash rate. Now we're talking about in comparison to Ethereum Classic, which is the next largest ET hash coin, frankly, the next largest proof of work coin that utilizes, GPUs, it's only 80 terahash. So we're essentially talking about 100x times the amount of hash power that's going to come off of Ethereum here in 30 minutes. And I'm sorry, excuse my French, but what the is going to happen, right? Like
it's going to obliterate. It's going to obliterate all the other coins. Yeah, I was saying that for a while. I mean, also expecting a flash crash, man, to the likes that you've never seen. I mean, people here who are like, you got a massive crypto audience, and they're probably pro crypto, but I'm the guy who's got the other opinion, and then all the insults will start rolling in. But I'm just telling you how it is. The Fed have shut off the money printers. They're actually destroying money right now. So you've got the reverse effect going on as you had in 2021, 2020. And that's why I've been telling people, like, you might want to sell your cryptos sooner than later, because you may end up going bust dollar, and you don't want to go bust dollar, because it's like, sometimes it can be a slow train wreck in the making. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just telling this how it is. Like,
but what do you sell for? So you say you sell for fiat currency.
Well, basically, in the meantime, or you can transfer into silver.
But then what about inflation, right? Like we saw the highest inflation numbers ever this month, and they're not even fully realized. And next week, we're probably going to see in the U.S. the worst an unexpected BPS hike of 100, and that's going to throw the markets into more turmoil. So you're definitely not taking out of crypto and putting into traditional markets.
Well, you don't put it in. You're holding cash, even though your cash is losing value. Your investments then, which are worth a dollar amount, are losing even more value. So again, it's not the greatest market to be in. Again, people have only been used to growing markets. But if you go back to points throughout history, especially during the 20th century, you've had like periods, like 20-year periods, where people haven't made any money, and inflation's happened as well. But if you were in stocks, you would have lost money as well. If you were in other assets, you would have lost more money. Right. So I guess a lot of people are just used to winning.
The real question comes in here, because like, if we talk about the fundamentals of Bitcoin, the real question comes in here is, does it end up working, or does it not end up working for its original purpose, which was a hedge against inflation? And the fact is like, I get what you're saying. You're saying, no, it's not going to, right? And then on the flip side of that, there are the people that say, yes, it will. Now, if we look at the crypto crash, we could try to tie that to one of two things, right? Because the fact is we've seen this before, Bitcoin cyclical, right? Because we have basically the halving of Bitcoin, which means the mining reward gets cut in half every 4 years approximately. And if we look at the cyclical nature of Bitcoin, we would say that currently I would expect the price to be exactly at what it's at right now, right? So I would expect it to be around 21,000. However, it did coincide with this recession and crash. So it looks to appear to be following traditional markets. So those are one of the two options. So that's kind of where I sit, as far as like, I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I mean, I see it going down. I just think crypto has realized its maximum level of saturation. Back in 2018, right? I used to be into crypto. A lot of these guys are hating on me in your comments. I love it, man. But I was in crypto heavily 2017, right? I got a new car out of it. It was awesome, man. I was a crypto bro back then. But then I got out of it, man. Like, as soon as one of my dad's friends is a tiler, right? Just, 60-year-old dude still tiling, putting tiles on the floor. And he told me back then, he was like, I'm buying some Bitcoin. And that's when I knew, like, back in, look at that shoe shine, the boy shining the shoes, he's giving the guy stock tips. As soon as that happened, I was like, yeah, it's time to sell it all and get out of it. I mean, little did anyone know that there was going to be 2 years later, right? The biggest money printing event in history. So that happened, and a lot of people got back into crypto. That was the second wave. People can call it a cycle. But again, I'm going to say, well, what's the next cycle going on? The next cycle is you're getting that inflation, right? Not just from the money printing that happened in the 2 years before, but you're getting that inflation now from governments and regulations and restrictions.
Well, partly you're also getting it because there's not as many people working, right? And there's a supply versus demand issue as well, right? Which is like, there's not as much supply for all the things people want to buy as there is money in circulation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So your comments are going pretty crazy, but I mean, I'm just telling how it is. you got a different kind of guest on giving a different kind of opinion.
Well, and that's why I said, guys, everybody in chat, this is what I respect Tech Yes City a lot for coming on here, because I kind of had, it wouldn't be different from me going on his channel and talking about crypto, right? That's the thing. And if you ever want me to, I'm down. I'll come over there and take the burn over on your side too. But we need these perspectives, because if we don't get outside perspective, we're not going to know how to function, right? So I think that this is extremely important. So thank you for coming on, and don't pay too much attention to it.
No. Let's absolutely, man. Absolutely. But I'm going to talk about going forward, right? Okay. One last thing I'll say is that going forward, the monetary policy, right? The monetary policy from the Fed going forward is restrictionary, right? It's actually contractionary too. So you've got those coming into play. The prices of things that are considered non-essential are going to go down. It's just a natural thing. So the tightening is getting heavier from September. So again, I could say that you would expect, I mean, if a flash crash happens on Ethereum and Bitcoin to the likes that you've never seen in your life, don't be surprised, because the volatility, at least pre this event and in the last month, the volatility has been picking up quite a lot. So again, at the end of the day, I just want a lot of your viewers to be aware, and I hope they don't lose a lot of money, because I've seen the average guy lose a lot of money in 2008 when I was just out of uni. I lost a lot of money in 2008. Yeah. It was a horrible event. Since then, I haven't lost money. You know what I mean? Yeah. I haven't lost money. So I've been a lot of people lost money in the first crypto boom too, right? So there is, it depends on how many cycles I think some people have gone through. I think that's why we had Bitsby tripping on earlier too. So, but I don't think so. How would you? I guess I disagree on the fact that like Bitcoin's reached its max potential, right? So I don't think that is true, right? And I think that there is potential for cryptocurrency to potentially solve a lot of issues that we have in the economy as a whole. But I do fear that at the end of the day, probably there's too much government control for that to actually happen. I mean, sometimes if I read, go back and read like The Sovereign Individual, I get some hope from some stuff like that, right? A collapsing of the nation state, because the nation state is incapable of ruling the amount of people that are participating within a free and open society and economy, right? So the fact is like, if everybody did use Bitcoin and refuse to use the traditional fiat systems, then at that point you have a fighting chance, right? The question is, would that ever happen? And that I could probably say no to that, because that does feel like a pipe dream, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I sit as far as all that goes. I still think there's potential, though, at the end of the day. What I wanted to get into, though, a little bit more, because obviously what you do on your channel is you build used PCs, you refurbish PCs, you sell them, that sort of stuff, right? A lot of times you do tech reviews as well, obviously, Tech Yes City, all that sort of shit. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're branching into a bit of finance lately too. The viewers absolutely love it. They're loving it, because I guess you're going to need some guidance going forward, right? There's a lot of things going on that make people sit back and go, whoa, this doesn't make any logical sense, right? For instance, energy shortages. In 2022, there should be no energy shortages whatsoever. You look at how technology's progressed. You look at the efficiency gains that have been made for energy production. There's no reason you should have energy blowouts in the world, especially in the first world countries, right? Where all the wealth is. So it doesn't make any sense. So what's going on behind the scenes, right? Mm-hmm. So you start to scratch your head. And so then they're going to blame the miners for it. Oh, the crypto miners are using too much power and they're causing all this. It's like, yeah, whatever. So that's what I mean. There's some things that I'm like, I agree with you guys, the miners. I agree with a lot of topics. But then there's the things where I'm against it, because, are you getting around the real problem in the end? And that is the government. Are you circumventing the government properly?
I think that we agree on that, right? The real problem is the government, which is, it's kind of, I think we do agree on that position.
Or is the government corrupting crypto? And I think the latter. I think that's what's actually happening. I mean, the government.
I mean, the White House wants to ban proof of work mining. Why ban proof of work mining? Why focus on that, right? But Ethereum proof of stake will be fine. Why is that? Is that because there's more control over proof of stake? Probably.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Probably.
So Actually, have you sold any of your GPUs yet? See, this is what I want to get into. I want to ask you some questions. Have you sold any of those 3090s?
No, I have not sold. I have sold some to friends, yes, but that was during actually the bull run because I want my friends to have GPUs to play video games with me. So, that was a little bit of a different position. But other than that, no, I sold one 3090 to another friend here recently, but that was about it. So I'm holding on to them. I've been spec mining a lot of different coins and kind of going about it that way. I am in a position though where I probably will shut off and hold hold a majority of the GPUs, at least like the 3000 series, the 6000 series, that sort of thing, here probably for a certain amount of time, 6 months, probably to a year, something along those lines.
Okay, so how much did you sell the 3090s to the friend for? What GPUs were you selling?
I gave one 3080 Ti to a friend. I sold another 3080 Ti for like $799, and I sold the 3090 for $1,000.
Okay, and so also a question for you: what's the new proof of work coin going to be? What's the one that everyone's going to flock to? Right? What's the second best option?
That's what Ethereum? We're waiting to find out tonight, right? And we're in 15 minutes now. There's this, right? We have ASICs on Ethereum that run ETH hash. Okay, so they can only move to another ETH hash coin. There's an ETC hash, which is Ethereum Classic, which can have firmware for these to mine it. So that's pretty much the only one that they're going to. So our big question is how much of the hash rate is ASIC? Because they're forced to go to one coin. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. So I used to ASIC mine Zen Cash, which changed over to Horizon.
Okay.
If you remember that one. Since then, that's gotten, I'd say it got the same sort of corruption sort of leaching into it from big banks and whatnot. So, I made that. Like I said, man, I made all my money in crypto off Zen Cash. So, yeah, that was a big one for me, man. I just got into it when it was like, oh man, it's like $3 a coin or something.
Yeah.
So on average, I cashed out at about $35 a coin or something like that. So. Yeah, man, I got a lot. Like I said, I got a lot to thank for crypto back then.
Yeah,
I was very profitable. So, and that's what I mean. At the end of the day, is a lot of viewers in it for the profit, or a lot of the viewers in it for the technology. And that's what I realized at the end of the day. I was in it for the profit.
Yeah,
I wasn't in it. I didn't believe in it. I was like, man, I can't do something I can't believe in, right?
Yeah.
So,
no, I hear you.
So I want a new crypto. Is there a new crypto that the people are going to believe in? And so I mean, like you guys are speculating all the time. Like you got Ergo, you got Raven coin, you got X coin, you got this coin, you got that. So why don't people get behind one coin that's going to be the true leader of decentralization? And I want to know what that is.
I think the problem is that we know what that is. That's Bitcoin, and you can't really be anything else because Bitcoin is unique in the fact that it doesn't have the people problem.
But it doesn't have the complete private transactions like Zencash has.
But you don't need privacy necessarily. So you don't need privacy to be the main backing of the thing that changes everything. Because
I would want complete privacy, man. Again,
I understand that, like that perspective, but also from like the perspective of like fully like transparent transactions on the blockchain that can be audited. I also see value in that.
Yeah.
But there are tools that you can build on top of that obfuscate transactions on Bitcoin, right? I mean, the same thing that's going on with like Tornado Cash and Ethereum right now, right? That's possible to do. The governments are going to sanction it, right? That's going to happen. But I think that the majority of cryptos have the people problem, which means that you have, you have people in charge of them controlling them, and you have people that are developing on them. You have people that are directly tied to them being successful, and you can't have some altruistic shift in like an economic like currency if you have people involved in them in that manner, right? So that ends up kind of, in my humble opinion, kind of actually hurting almost any argument for any cryptocurrency that I see. And that's something I deal with. One of those contradictions I deal with when I look at the market, right? Because I know most of these devs, right? I've interviewed them. I've had them on my channel. And most of them are great guys, but at the end of the day, there's still a problem because there are people in control of something.
Exactly, man. Yeah, because you bring in the human problem into crypto, where the same things that corrupted governments over the years is it corrupting crypto, and it looks to me that trend sort of starts to get more apparent as time goes on. And Yeah. So,
But Ergo is the biggest one that I would say at the end of the day, because Ergo is basically, Ethereum that will remain proof of work. It will remain ASIC resistant, and it has all of the functionality that Ethereum has, and they've been able to develop that within 3 years. It adds a whole bunch of other important things, like I was talking about before. Developers don't have to pay to develop on it, so that's very important. And you have the people problem, but the person is, a renowned blockchain developer that's, put on a pedestal by Charles Hoskinson from Cardano. He's worked on Cardano and a whole bunch of other projects, and it remains proof of work, which means clearly from what we've seen, if the government is against proof of work, then there's probably a reason for it, right? So I'd say Ergo is probably a good one as far as like that goes. And if we talk about votes in my channel, we've been doing tons of votes. It gets the win, right? So if you're wondering what the people think, that's what they think.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Like I said, I come onto these things to learn as well. Like, yeah. So I give my thoughts and opinions. I like listening to other people's thoughts and opinions. I love it, man. Like, I love discussion. And this is the greatest thing about your channel. I think if you get more tech tubers on, or more other people in different fields, it would be great to sort of see, grab that bridge and really just open up ideas so people can sort of, relay what they think and what's going to happen. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing for me is, so are you an ASIC miner or are you a GPU miner? Basically,
I'm a GPU miner, but I have ASICs as well. Now, if you wanted to talk about something from the tech perspective that's extremely interesting, it's proof of useful work. Have you heard of that?
No. Educate me, man.
Okay, so proof of useful work will actually utilize solving blocks on the blockchain while also solving AI problems.
Oh, wow.
So this is one that a coin that, now here's the problem. The coin that's working on is centralized. I might be okay with that in this particular case though. And that is because what they are is they're a Web3 service. So what they do is basically, right now they're already functioning. You can go on and rent a VPS, a virtual private server that runs on the blockchain. It's much cheaper than a VPS. It has a few problems, right? It has persistent storage problems and it has high powered computing problems. They're about to solve the storage in Q4. So hopefully that'll get done this year. The bigger problem, it's probably going to take a year out, a couple of years out, something like that, will be high powered computing, essentially AI, solving AI, stuff like that. And the way they're going to solve that is with something called proof of useful work, which is essentially going to be able to solve in the transactions on the blockchain utilizing GPUs while also solving AI. Problem here is infrastructure for miners, right? You're going to have basically epic grade, epic servers with, all of your fiber connections, your BI-8 PCIe lanes, and you're going to have to run pretty expensive hardware. That's a barrier to entry issue, but at the same time, it's a really cool tech.
Bro, your viewers are going out of control. Yeah, 5,000 people. I mean, great insane. Bridge. You've got the devil's advocate, so I'm playing devil's advocate. You've got, pro crypto, son of a tech. So you got it all. Yeah, and the thing is, who's good, who's evil, right? And good versus evil.
We're 2 minutes out. We're 2 minutes out, guys.
Okay, so does your audience think it's going to flash crash or it's going to go up? I don't think anyone thinks it's going to stay flat, right? So like I said, I'm thinking flash crash. You're predicting the price will go up with ETH?
We have 39 blocks here. The price doesn't move at all. You know why? Because all the exchanges are locking it.
Yeah, that's true. The exchanges were for this event. They weren't taking deposits.
Correct.
And, but what about the pressure on mine? Like, I don't know. Is there any behind the scenes brokers working with, say, commercial clients or investment banks? Is there anything else going on?
Where's the link for it live now? Everybody's saying it's live now. I can't get the actual click through. I'm showing I'm showing stuff messing up all over the place now. So this is this is push come to shove. His stuff is shit breaking now, guys.
The chat's going off, man. Like, I think something's going right. I think it's going right now.
Mindberg coin. Hold on. I'm gonna pull this up and pull my screen up.
It's like Happy New Year. Yeah, it almost feels like it's New Year's on this. It's like, let the GPUs reign. Guys, go mine Ergo, go mine those other cryptos, and then when you're not making any money, just sell your GPU to me and sell it to all the other gamers.
Sell it to me. Okay. What do we got? Bortle WT F is saying 8 minutes out. Have we actually hit the total terminal difficulty? Where are you guys seeing it? I got to go over to Twitter. Let me go see. We got to do the hunt. Where's the confirmation of this actually going live? Right now. It says yes, in the end of an era. Is the hash rate dropping off? Hold on. Is the hash rate dropping off? Let's go to 2 miners. 2 miners. Let's pull up Ethereum. Oh, wait. Ethereum network hash rate still showing 737, guys.
Yeah, wow. I mean, those miners, are they going to be are they going to be sweating? Are they going to be scrambling? Like, let's get onto this coin. And then are you going to see like these massive fluctuations in profitability and difficulty on these various other coins? Because I, from what I see, there's about 4 other coins that can that have a bit of volume going on every day in terms of like, I mean, there's some coins out there that are like, oh, you can make $1 a day with a 3080, for example. That's what I check on what to mine. I mean, for instance, how accurate is what to mine though?
Not accurate right now at all, because all the difficulty is adjusting. It's pretty much you can look at it and it literally means nothing. Like, okay. The only one that actually is accurate is Ergo, but that's because the difficulty adjustment on Ergo is a day and a half behind. So technically Ergo won't feel the effects till Friday. Okay.
That's why I thank you for having me on as a special guest when the whole thing goes down. Like, I do feel really special, man. Telling your audience.
I'm glad you're in the time zone. I don't think crypto's going to crash. I think that everything's going to get locked down and everybody's going to say you can't sell it. That's what's going to happen here in the short term.
So I think the wheels are going to fall off the bus, dude. And then not only that, there's going to be a cliff at the end of that road. And it's like, we can't stop. We can't pull it up. We can't pull it up in time. And then the bus goes completely off the cliff.
Bortle went. Yeah. Hold on. Let me go look at, wonder if there's a better way to look at this.
But have you noticed, like in the last couple of months, though, have you kind of noticed a bit of free speech coming back, like at least to YouTube? I've noticed that there's been proper, like I'm getting recommended content from just different YouTubers, and they're not having this mainstream, everyone agrees.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think like this is absolutely insane. I've never had we're at 6K viewers right now, guys. Holy shit.
Yeah. Wow, dude.
Thank you guys.
You're punching with like 2 million sub channels with
nothing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we're not at 30K viewers of the official Ethereum mainnet view party, but I do have that pulled up here now too. Because I was going to see if they're ahead of the game. It looks like they're getting ready. They're getting pretty excited here as well.
Yeah.
And then
so someone in your comments called me a shill. It's like, yeah, I'm a shill for me. You know what I mean? Like,
what are you shilling, bro?
Like, well, I'm shilling people to sell their used GPUs for me to cheat. So
do it.
That's it, guys. Like 3090, I'm kind of buying prices around $500. 3080, 350. This is what I'm hoping for. So
this is what you're hoping for prices.
Yeah, just
3080, 350.
Yeah,
that's what you're thinking.
Just hit me up. Like that's what I want to buy.
How screwed do you think Ada Lovelace and the RTX 7000 series are at this point?
Like they're forced to go with high prices, right? Look at that. That's 2,000 USD. Like if you go back in my channel, I did a live stream predicting the cost of that GPU, the 4090 is going to be 2K. People are like, no, it's way out of field. It's looking like it's exactly going to be 2K because they've got so many 30 series cards that they got to get rid of.
Yeah.
How else do you get rid of them? And if people want the latest and greatest, well, they can go pay for it. The biggest problem NVIDIA is going to have is that they're going to be faced with this time around at $2,000. You're not going to be attracting the impulse buyers. There's no way someone who's impulsive and just goes out and buys that stuff day one is going to go out and buy it day one, right? Sure, they'll sell off the first run, but people are going to sit back and go, whoa, 2,000 for a GPU. And it's going to be, since the DXY is so strong, it's going to be like, you're looking at Aussie pricing. Apparently there's leaks of 4,000 Aussie dollars for a 4090.
No way.
People are going to say, so people are going to say, whoa, dude, that's insane.
And miners are going to say no. You know that, right?
Yeah.
They reduced the memory bandwidth and the bus width.
Well, that's it. Miners are already sort of choking a little bit on profitability, right? Miners are sort of taking.
But a 3090 Ti gets to say, oh man, I lost tech. Yes. No, we were having such a good conversation. I forgot that we have the 40-minute time limit on Zoom. I'm sorry, dude. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to go ahead and check out more videos here, or of course, subscribe. For additional content that also goes into more opinionated pieces surrounding the politics around crypto, make sure you check out sonofatech.locals.com. There you can become a member for free, or even choose to support for basically additional content at $5 a month. It's helping me stay alive through the crypto winter.